Hello, my name is Kirsten Matthews. I'm a fellow in Science and Technology Policy at Rice University's Baker Institute for Public Policy. Thank you for watching my poster video, where I will describe laws and guidelines that impact human embryo and cell-based embryo models from 22 nations in 50 states. For this project, we wanted to understand what the current laws in different nations that affect embryo and embryoid research. Did a country have a 14-day limit? Are there countries without laws? Did any country ban embryoid research? To do this, we selected 22 countries with the highest R&D expenditures, the actual dollar amount spent on R&D, and or the highest percent gross domestic product used for R&D, indicating that science is a high priority in the country. We also reviewed all 50 state laws. For both global and the US, we searched law databases and reviewed government guidelines, peer-reviewed literature, and media mentions for the laws. The 22 countries we surveyed, seen here in red and listed below, we found 4 major categories. 5 countries banned human embryo research. 4 countries had no laws identified. 12 countries had a 14-day limit. And 1 country, Switzerland, had a 7-day limit, an alternate limit. While the most common policy was a 14-day limit, to our surprise, only 12 of the 22 had a 14-day limit. Of note, none of the policies has been changed recently, despite new research using human embryos and growing them in culture until 14 days and stopping. This is particularly interesting since it took less time for human embryonic stem cell policies to be changed after the seminal paper in 1998, which created the first line. We also wanted to determine what type of embryo research was permissible. Again, 5 countries banned research, but the other 17 allow human embryo research. 8 of those countries only allow research using embryos left over from IVF or supernumerary. 6 countries also allow research using SENT-derived embryos. An additional 3 countries allow research regardless of the source of the embryo. That's including the US, UK, and India. We also looked at what kind of policies would impact embryoid research. No countries as of now has laws that explicitly address embryos, though. Of the 22 countries, most are permissive, with only 7 seen to be restrictive in some capacity. Reviewing these, we found 3 countries that actually banned embryo research and also banned embryoid research. 3 countries limit embryoid research, but of note were permissive for some form of embryo research. This includes Australia, which recently determined that integrated embryoids are embryos and require licenses. US is one country that has only a guideline for embryo research, but restricts embryoid research only on federally funded embryoid research, as it is currently being interpreted by the National Institutes of Health. 2 countries which have a restriction on embryoid research, Italy and Turkey, now allow embryoid research because those laws only impact the creation of embryonic stem cells. We also reviewed US state policies. Many states do not have laws, noted in gray, but several do. These laws are often related to abortion, fetal tissue research, and or embryonic stem cell research. And the red are the states with restricted human embryo laws. These states limit human embryo research and often prohibit research using embryonic stem cells as well. In green are states that allow embryo research. It includes states like California with laws and funding for embryo and embryonic stem cells. Others states have laws, but they are not restrictive for human embryo research, but perhaps just limit creating embryonic stem cells. Of note, there are 8 states with stripes. 6 are red with tan stripes. They have restrictions on human embryo research and the creation of embryonic stem cells. But you can use embryonic stem cells already created or other pluripotent stem cells to create and study embryoids. 2 states have actually more restrictive embryoid policies. 1, Kansas, in the center of the country, doesn't have an embryo law, but it does limit state funding and facilities doing embryonic stem cell research. Connecticut has a 17-day limit on embryo research, which could impact embryoids that are older. In conclusion, the 14-day limit was the most common policy, although not universal. Laws or guidelines did not address embryoids specifically, which led it to be unclear how they could affect the research. But some existing laws related to embryonic stem cell research might impact it. Thank you for listening. Below is a reference to where some of the data was published in. I'd also like to thank my collaborators, especially Dan Morelli, my co-author. Thank you for joining me.